All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're breaking down what might be one of the most important decisions you'll make as a developer heading into 2025. Which AI coding assistant you should be using. I mean, the options are exploding, the tech is moving at light speed, and we're here to cut right through all that noise.
So yeah, this is the big question, isn't it? It's not just about who has the flashiest features anymore. It's really about your workflow, your efficiency, and honestly, which one of these tools is going to give you that little bit of an edge. You know, it feels like just yesterday these tools were kind of a cool gimmick, right? A futuristic novelty. But now, oh man, they are absolutely essential. They are baked into our daily workflows, and they're fundamentally changing how we write, debug, and even think about code.
Okay, so let's get into it. The whole conversation has done a complete 180. We're way past the should I even use one stage. Now we're squarely in the which one is the absolute best for me phase. And trust me, this choice is going to define your productivity and maybe even your creativity in the year ahead.
So coming in at number one, and this is probably not going to shock anybody, is the tool that basically started it all, GitHub Copilot. It's still the undisputed benchmark, you know? It's the standard that every other tool on this list is measured against.
And this quote just hits the nail on the head. Its real magic isn't just the fancy GPT model running in the background, it's how deeply it weaves itself right into your IDE. It seriously feels less like a tool you're using and more like a true pair programmer that's sitting right there with you, anticipating your every move.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting, because there's a definite trade-off. On the pros side, we're talking way more than just autocomplete. The code suggestions are scarily accurate, it understands huge code bases, and it is a lifesaver for generating tests. That is a massive time saver. But then you look at the cons. That power costs money, especially for teams, and it absolutely requires a solid internet connection. Plus, sometimes that autocomplete can get a little too helpful, if you know what I mean.
So who is this really for? Well, if you're a front-end or back-end engineer working with the big frameworks, and especially if you hate the grind of writing tests or doing code reviews, Copilot is basically built for you. It slots right into that workflow perfectly.
All right, let's move on to number two, which takes a totally different angle. See, if Copilot is the ultimate assistant inside your existing IDE, Cursor wants to be a whole new kind of IDE, one that's AI native from the ground up. It's not an add-on, it's the whole shebang.
And that right there is the key difference. Copilot works within your editor. Cursor is the editor. And because of that, it can do things on a much grander scale. We're talking about moving beyond just completing a line of code to editing whole files or even entire projects at once.
I mean, just look at these pros. Refactoring an entire code base with a prompt, understanding how multiple files are all connected. For rapid prototyping, that is a game changer. The catch? Well, there's a bit of a learning curve if you're used to VS Code, and all that power means you're going to need a pretty decent machine to run it smoothly.
So who's the perfect developer for Cursor? It's the person who needs to move fast. If your job is all about spinning up new prototypes, doing huge refactors, or building out entire features from a simple prompt, then Cursor is basically your command center.
Okay, our number 3 pick is a tool we all know and love, but we're looking at it in a very specific way. This isn't about replacing Copilot or Cursor. Think of this as adding a completely different kind of tool to your tool belt. We're talking about ChatGPT, not as your coder, but as your brilliant thinking partner.
See, its real strength isn't just spitting out code, it's generating understanding. When you are completely stuck on some complex logic, or you're trying to plan out a new service, or you just have no idea what an error message means, ChatGPT's ability to reason is just unmatched.
But the trade-off is pretty obvious right there in the cons list. You get this incredible high-level reasoning, but it's totally disconnected from your IDE, and that means a whole lot of copying and pasting. It's a separate space for thinking, which is super powerful, but it does mean you have to deliberately step out of your normal workflow.
So this is your go-to when you're not just writing code, but when you're thinking about code. Stuck on a system design problem? Need someone to explain a new library like your 5? Staring at a giant stack trace that makes no sense? That is ChatGPT's sweet spot.
All right, for our last two, we're shifting gears big time. The first three are amazing for solo devs or small teams. But what about the enterprise? What about big companies? That's where our final contenders, Windsurf and Tabnine, come into play. These are built to tackle the unique problems of huge organizations. We're talking massive private code bases, super strict security, and collaboration across giant teams.
And this table really shows you exactly what they're trying to do.
So let's look at Windsurf. Its killer feature is something called Riptide, which is this powerful search engine for your code. So its focus is all about context. It wants to understand your entire company's code base. Now compare that to Tabnine. Its focus is on privacy and learning your specific coding style. It adapts to you. And the most important part for this category, look at the bottom row. Both of them can be self-hosted. For big companies worried about security, that is a must-have.
So, we've laid out the top contenders. But look, the best tool on paper isn't always the best tool for you, right? The really critical part is figuring out what's going to work for your specific job and your specific workflow.
Here's a super simple way to think about it. First, ask yourself, what am I actually doing all day? Is it banging out production code? That's Copilot. Is it rapid prototyping? That's Cursor's playground. Second, how do you work? Do you live and breathe inside your IDE? Or are you cool with hopping over to a browser for a planning session with ChatGPT? And remember, you can use more than one. And finally, what's your context? A solo developer has totally different needs than someone on a big enterprise team that needs something secure like Tabnine or Windsurf.
And that really brings us to the big final thought. As these tools get smarter, evolving from just finishing our sentences to being actual reasoning partners, it brings up a really fascinating question. Are we moving away from the craft of writing line by line and into a future where the most important skill is just being able to have a really good, clear conversation with an AI? Definitely something to think about. Thanks for joining me.